I'm running out of time to finish my mega base. I've only got about a month left, and I still haven't done the interior of the main hub, plus there are so many unfinished terrain areas and half-done projects scattered around. So today I'm tackling two huge things on that list. First, I'm finally finishing the cobblestone factory complex, a project I started over 4 months ago. And while we're at it, I'm completing one of the biggest tasks still hanging over this entire base, finishing the mega base mountain range. Welcome back to Just Create. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It helps a ton, and you definitely don't want to miss the final version of this base, and we're getting so close now. I want to first of all take us back a few weeks where I finished off the east side of the mountain range while building up another peak of the mountain in between the stream and the south train entrance, which pulls together this side of the base a fair bit. And there's a reason we're starting up here, and that's because, well, I have this hole here, and well, it actually doesn't stretch all the way over here this way, but there's no path connecting anything up. And I am pretty sure that I, a few weeks ago, grabbed some resources, and yes, I did. So let's put those to use and bring in another path connecting up the two walking entrances into the mega base with the factories on top of the mountain, as well as the substation. Then to bring this area together a bit more, and since this is a little hidden, I'm building up a tree. I find trees extremely hard to build on top of mountains, as it's extremely easy to mess up the perspective of how large the mountain really is, but I think this one is hidden enough. Oh, that just looks so much better with a little walking path in here now, connecting everything up. Still no functioning door, and well, I think we should probably move on to the next stage as well. There's not much more. I need to add foliage. I don't. No thanks. And well, foliage is something that we do need to do, but I think I'm just gonna put it on my list because to become a little organized here, there's a ton of things to do around the base. So I was thinking we just fly around a little bit and see what needs fixing. Foliage on the mountain is definitely up there. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, I need to finish the mountain and just some of the terrain by the sawmill. This area we completed up last time, which is looking really good still. And well, other than the barrenness of this, I have a hole right here where my original thought was this would open into a cave that would also connect up to a hole that I think, yeah, is up here. That was going to lead to my mushroom farm, which is there and not really working because it's broken. So we should probably patch those up. Then one of the bigger issues, not again that way, is that this train track is still floating, and also the fact that this river is still not opened up completely. Other than that, and obviously I need to fix up that. This area is pretty much complete. I need to give the terrain here a touch up as well. Then I know for a fact that okay, I do need to remove the river boundaries, and well, theoretically I do need to fix that foliage and stuff here on the wood island, but I don't really feel like doing that in the essence of saving time. I'm just gonna skip it. I don't really love how this project turned out, and I'm now very burnt out on building custom trees. Well, at least I can focus on the mega base still. That comes along with the boundary. I wanted to transform this river. I don't think there's going to be a need for it. I do want to continue this mod along though and connect that up to over there, but we'll get to that when we fix one of the biggest issues remaining with base at this side of it. Yeah, there's a fair bit of terraforming that I still need to do. Connecting all of that up there down to here, and also I want to connect the walking path that we have here. Probably snake that up the mountain and somehow get it over and connect that into that guy. Oh, and we need to fix this up. I think this might be one of the final things though, at least, you know, not looking at the interior of the mega base. That does still need to be done. Fix the train platform at cobblestone factory. Well, my plan was always to automate more things here, as yeah, cobblestone out, that was meant to go to, well, this farm. It was meant to go to a gravel, a sand. I was gonna make all of the building blocks here, but I never got to it. So maybe we throw in some new factories here as well and rethink this train layout, because I do also have an exit, yeah, right there, and I'd love to hook this up to something, so maybe we just snake this train track around. Ooh, I think that could work for us. Right, rambling aside, let's get to work on finishing up the cobblestone factory, which means we need to do some resource gathering. But I do need to get a bunch of wood and iron. We can get the iron pressed into sheets and start turning the logs into planks, as I need to craft a few more stacks of barrels. so that I can combine that with the sheets to create 4 more stacks of vaults to fill my toolboxes back up. Also going to need a few more smart chutes as I'm running low on those, but that's about it for the create components. Still need a few building blocks from the create mod though, such as ladders, scaffolding, and bars. Let's grab 2 yellow shulker boxes now that we're done with the create things, and we can head down to the sawmill, where I of course need to request a bunch of different stone blocks. Okay, I lied. I'm getting some wood resources at the sawmill. Who would have guessed? And back up to the base, as I need to do a bit more crafting to finish off our wood bits and bobs. With that done then, now it's time for our stone resources, where with all the automation I set up last time, bringing the resources from all of my farms into my mega base, I don't have to leave at all, instead just requesting and spending time at the stone cutter. Well, I have 35 dead brain coral blocks, and I think I need 36. So, trip to the coral reef, I guess. Arriving, just need one of these. Right, thanks. And off we go, back to the base. Back from that quick, very necessary trip, let's go back and start finishing off the metal resources I started on earlier while gathering up the create building blocks. Where I'm a bit low on copper again, so let's instead grab some diamonds. And back at spawn, since we are nearing the end of the SMP, I should probably spend these. Getting a few copper trapdoors and doors. Let's also restock on a few stacks of copper blocks at the different oxidization stages. Which means all I have to do returning to the base is spend a bit of time in the stone cutter, once again getting those blocks turned into the different things I need. And with that, we are nearing the end, just a few more miscellaneous bits to request and craft to finish off the final shulker box. Well, we've got a good couple of shulker boxes here. Just need to restock on my food quickly, and we can grab these. And flying down, we have a lot of work to do. But let's get our shulker boxes placed down at least. And I reckon the first thing I'm going to do is just head right back up to storage. Mainly because I forgot my truck, which I definitely knew and totally didn't just spot when I was arriving. No. But I should probably also just grab a few extra shulker boxes to put some junk in if needed. Get that situated, and then let's get started with tearing down the brick farm. As this has worked great, but well, it's a little ugly just sitting out here in the open. I have a slight feeling there's going to spew a lot of items here. Probably should have removed this first. All right, getting the final few bits here just cleared away, and I think I'm just gonna leave the vault for now as well. What can I stay, because it has a lot of brick in it, but this should be torn away enough at least for us to bring in the gravel and sand part of the factory. And then I guess I might as well rebuild this part, and the final one that was going to be more building blocks. Well, since, you know, I don't really have a need for it anymore, I don't think I'm gonna build the farms themselves. To get started on the factory, we'll first need to make it over to it, removing some of the deep slate and extending the mix of dirt towards where the building will sit. Then heading down a few blocks in front of the cobblestone hangar, continue with the dirt pallet and some piles of cobblestone. Where to get between these two layers, I'm thinking just a super simple staircase, maybe some trapdoors. Then to separate the two layers, just a small little tough retaining wall here, super simple. Topping that off with some polished tuff. And let's actually get a few more tuff blocks. Where's to use here while starting to figure out the foundation for this factory. I really don't think we're gonna need a lot of space, but let's see. We'll get this up to at least go over this here, so we have some foundation up on this level as well. Top this off with some tough bricks, and then here I was thinking a little outcropping with a brick pallet eventually. Just mark that out with some dripstone to connect up to that chain conveyor to bring the cobblestone from that factory into this one. And then just to continue this here around the back. fairly simple here around the back. And then I went into this little diagonal section here where I was thinking we continue the conveyors to connect this up to the factory that's going to go over here as well. Where before we get tackling all the walls and such, let's extend up the brick section I talked about earlier, so that we can hook the two factories up. And having thrown in a floor, let's get started on a sand and gravel part of this factory. Well, that is what this factory building is. And for that, I think we're going to start with storage, as that's probably the easiest. And I'm pretty sure I've counted this correctly, where we should be able to get a max sized 3x3 vault in right there. And over here, we are going to have to, on this side, those in just to filter out flint and clay, as this factory won't be producing any of that. On top of this, my plan here is for us to use 2 of the cobblestone generators in there to, well, fill this up, or well, maybe a little less, because I'd probably need 6 crushing wheels, but that would make it look a little uneven. So we'll do 5, which we can get here running across, and as it is faster input full stacks, we'll get that. And then I'm gonna need a row of these. Right, where we'll need to actually make this a 2x2 vault to make it fully work. And it's pretty much as simple as that. We theoretically just need that in there and hooking this up, which means bringing it into the middle of the factory somewhere here, where we can probably just connect this up right here, and we'll name this, let me see what I named these down here, CF brick in, right? So we'll name this CF gravel in, and then getting ourselves a factory gauge. If we set this to monitor this system, wait, no, not that one. I think that one is disconnected from the rest of them. Yes, I don't know what that one is connected to. It's connected to something, but we'll get this up here and we'll add this onto the side, and we'll do cobblestone, of course, put that in there, and then, well, 100 stacks, where we should see, yes, packages starting to arrive, and filling that up to hopefully 100 stacks here. And then we just need to get those spinning, which we'll do here in a second. Now just repeat that exact design over on this side. Okay, just getting those 2. Had to run some chains down. And, well, should just be getting one of these hooked up to this network yet again. Oh, but of course, sitting on this one up here and requesting gravel to fill this vault, where we're gonna send this to sand in. Perfect. Then, right, we just need to power these 2 sides, and that shouldn't be too difficult. We probably just need something like that, and I figure we could connect these 2 around the back, and we're definitely gonna want to spin this at the max speed, which actually does that spin at the max speed? Kind of looks like it. We're getting a speed controller anyways. We're kind of at an awkward height, though. Yeah, we'll do it over here nonetheless. Get that in, and then we'll just have to, you know, just it's this is fine. Where this should probably spin the other way. Oh, perfect. Just speed that up then, and we should see gravel being sent out there to go up and around into that one, which should mean that we'll be making sand. That's going to be dropping out at the bottom at the moment because I don't have a filter on this one. Oh, right, of course I don't need 2. I just need 1. Get a simple little flint and steel to burn all of that. With our sand and gravel production up and running, then let's start working on encasing this and finishing up the factory. Where around the back, I'm extending up a jungle mud section using some exposed copper stairs under the windows with some weathered grates for the windows themselves. Then left this little gap where I'd like to bring in some more blue with oxidized copper and dark prismarine to add in a sort of sunroom, where I'm imagining this was an apartment building turned into a factory. Where to match that, here in the front, what I'm thinking is we'll take some of the copper again and start building this front-facing facade. Where we just start to curve this a little bit inwards here to create the opening into this factory. Then leaving a little gap here where I want to connect that up to, oh, there's a pelt around that corner where we can bring in that dark prismarine again. And then for some windows, oak trap doors. Adding in a little garage door here, similar to what we got going on down there. Now we just need to patch this side up. And to do that, I'm thinking we go fairly simple, working with some darker red blocks such as netherrack and mangrove, adding in a few window to decorate one of the diagonal sides, and of course leaving in a opening for the packages, finishing the structure up with a deep safe roof. Yeah, another identical tower added in here. Just need to hook up the chain between these two. But this starts off the next factory here nicely now that we've got the first wood all sorted. And I think we just gotta take a little bit of a step up here to make it look a little better. It's a little bare at the moment. Though around the back, there's a bit more going on. And oh, I do need to fix that window. But not to worry about that, as I've got an entire factory left to build. So continuing from the first tower, I'm working up from a tough acacia stone foundation yet again, building in a brick building with some oak, spruce, and jungle logs thrown in to break the color up a bit. For the roof, I'm thinking nether bricks and dark oak, where I'm leaving some space in there for me to come back and add in some skylights to bring some natural light into the factory below, where we can just get this little wall here filled in now that we have the roof figured out, so that I know exactly where this needs to go. And just one more thing, just avoid the noise, where we need to run back over here. And I did these windows with the walls, and I'm thinking we just need to fill these in here with some white to fully complete them up. And I need to get up here as well. I probably should use the scaffolding I have in my inventory, but hey, here we are. With this building built here, I think we should get the brick farm back up and running. And I probably should have saved it as a schematic, although it is probably going to be fairly simple. We're going to make the vault just a little bigger this time. And I'm a little afraid of the ceiling height here. So I think we're just going to go into the floor with that, where we can have our output packager here eventually. And then above this, we need to be blasting clay, which means we're going to need our 3 smart chutes back, I guess. And well, we are making sand now, so I should probably just import sand, and that would make this entire process a lot smaller, which also means we can get rid of these and we can just have one, because we no longer have to have 3 sets of crushing wheels. So instead we'll set that up, and then we'll have to have those right there. This will be our lava floor, and then we just replicate this one above, which will be the washing, and then once again above that probably I wonder if I were to put a filter on that and I throw in those two, so that should be fine. It should drop multiple stacks in there, and then we just do a small little vault up at the top here with an input. And then we need to figure out the logistics for this. So when this vault down here is full, we need to stop this one from getting any more sand. And I think we can do this with redstone power. Wait, I'm trying to make this way more complicated than it needs to be. We just need to put one of those there, and then a threshold switch at the bottom right down here, where if this fills up now, that will activate that one, and we won't have any more sand dropping in. And then we can just do that, where we grab a factory gauge, and we're gonna need these soon. And we just link these two, putting this guy on that one, and then putting the restocker up on this one, where we do sand, and we will fill this up, I guess. So that means 60 stacks. And then we just need to bring in, and before we get that hooked up, we should probably bring in, well, the actual processing down here, because otherwise that's gonna, well, become a small problem. And I cannot seem to find anything in my toolboxes right now. That's gonna go there. Another fan down here. Just gonna do the double setup of fans. I guess we wouldn't have to have a double setup anymore. Maybe faster, but it's still gonna be pretty fast with how many stacks we're going to get in there. I wonder if we just do this instead. Okay, redesign that with the fans on the back now, and that means one of these filters go right there. And then since I don't have any brick on me at the moment, we'll just grab a brick, throw in the allow list for there, and all of the flint should be burned by the lava. It'll take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't become a problem. And then we just add that in on the back, and that, now I just need to go, oh, I have water. Okay, got it up and running here. We got a slight issue with there being some cobblestone in there, because I named this apparently the exact same that the old one had. But let's instead name this one brick in, and we should see some sand arrive. Oh, there it comes, which that should be dropped down, and that should actually be washed. So we should start to see some gravel and clay drop down into the next part in here in a few seconds. A lot of particles spewing out the front, but that's fine. Oh yeah, there we go. Clay. Flint should get burned, but we should get clay going into this one, which means we should, yeah, we're starting to get brick down here. Perfect. And while the cobblestone will just have to despawn eventually, and oh, that's gonna get laggy really fast, isn't it? We're just gonna set this one to be like only stock like 5 stacks. Otherwise, we're gonna have a a lot of items there very quickly. It's gonna catch up and be fine, I think. Maybe this wasn't that thought through. It's fine, it's fine, it's gonna be fine. Hopefully we don't start lagging, but in case we do, I need to get a move on with finishing this factory out, where I've switched my focus around to the front gate and started working on the first levels of the second tower to complete it up. Been doing something pretty similar here to what I've got going on with the first tower, so I'm thinking just continue that up, going a little taller and skinnier. Finishing it off with another exposed copper roof, but a spiked one instead of a dome to contrast the other tower a bit. So that's starting to look really good. Finally got a front gate completed. And next up, I'd like to work on the area here, bringing together that to the factory we just built to make the brick, where my plan all along has been to bring in a train platform mimicking the style I've got going on in front of the cobblestone factory, with stripped spruce and planks on top of a trim of barrels. Then what would have been a building block factory had I built it earlier in the season, I'm using a couple of darker stone blocks extending up the front facade, detailing it with some coppery bits and blocking off the doors with concrete. Throwing on a roof on this, I wanted to be an older looking building, so going with some more weathered roof, adding some moss and grass into the mix of jungle and mud brick. Which is looking good here on the front with a few extra details thrown in, and well, in true YouTuber fashion, it looks a little worse here on the backside. But let's just ignore that for a second, and I just gotta think. Right, so the saw train arrives that way, meaning okay, because my plan is to hook this track up to the cobblestone factory through this gap right here, which means we're gonna have the trains facing this way, and well, we also need to redo this entire stretch. But for now, we can just get this running over this way and then over here. Eventually, we'll hook that up in a little bit. As for now, this means that we can get the train station in then round about here. Although, I've been having things disappear. So if I could place the train station like here, that'd be great. Oh, I can. Ooh, because that means what I can do is right next to this, we can just get some post boxes in. And I want to have multiple post boxes as well. There's a few things we're exporting here. And well, if you can only grab 20 packages at a time, it's going to be doing a lot of trips, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's still something that we can avoid. Let's now get this here, where we're of course going to need to get the packages in, which we can do by just connecting up some belts, where we'll stretch this one back a little bit to go into there, and then I should have a bunch of train tunnels, no, brass tunnels, which can just split them into those, and then we can store all of the packages within a vault right here. Well, all the packages that have been sent, and the bigger this one is, the better, because we were having the issue earlier with too many packages on the chain conveyors where, well, they couldn't get to the front port, so they were just stuck infinitely. That there should do. And then finally, another thing I've been planning for ages now is a belt that's going to be running from here and out across and hook up to that one. Got that all powered up now, and we can now send the packages. Oh, hi there, buddy. Send the packages over and into this. And oh, wait, do we even have some packages in there? Ooh, I just don't have the tracks hooked up. Good to know that it works. But distractions aside, finishing up the outputs of the farm, let's finish up the factory facade. First of all, working from a white foundation into packed mud and mud bricks, along with some rooted dirt, using a few mushroom stems of windows that have a little detail with an iron trap door and bar at the bottom to act as a small little balcony. This leaves a small gap where I'm creating a bit more of a modern factory as a newer addition, going with the same foundation, just a bit redder, into our brick palette with some larger weathered to create windows, topping it off with a polished diorite ring and a mud roof, which is looking really good. Now we just got the problem of all of this, but with this area done, at least I can check off the first item of my list. Now let's move on to finishing the mountain range, because it's, well, this hole's been staring at me for weeks. We're gonna need an absolute ton of blocks for this, so let's spend a little bit of time here requesting. Got a lot of things already, but I am running low on light gray concrete powder, which of course I don't have much sand and gravel in there, but luckily for me, I do have an abundance of it down in the brand new factory we just built. Just gotta get these clicked on, and that should be 18 stacks of concrete powder. So I'm gonna need about double that. Drop that on the floor and craft up some light gray. Yeah, I shouldn't be standing in, should I? Yeah, boy. This became a big old mess. With that done now, let's get some acacia requested. I'm gonna need more pale moss. Well, need some in the first place. And about 1,000 chop as well. Right, just a few more shulker boxes here. And I'm realizing how much terrain there is to build to finish up the mountain. Oh well, better get started. Which actually involves us having to clear away a couple of blocks before we can start using the resources we've just gathered up, as the terrain on the northeast corner of the whole hill is sticking out a little too much. So, blocks cleared away now, which means we can just get the beacon packaged back up. With that out of the way, I could start building up the first layers of this side of the mega base mountain range, building a first small peak next to the train tracks. Then before we start on the second peak in this region, the vanilla terrain is looking really rough, so I just wanted to take some dirt and smooth it all out to get a bit more sloping terrain leading up to the mega base. And like I just mentioned, I want to bring up a second peak here to finish this section of the mountain off. Not my favorite shape, but with the 2 peaks in, it's looking fairly good at least. So let's keep going, extending the stone terrain over from these 2 peaks between the mega base and train entrance to move towards the next region. Able to clear away 2 shulker boxes now, and well, we just got a little bit of the mountain left to go, right? Right, not too much more. Just going to spend another 30 minutes to clear away a couple more blocks on the other side of the train entrance, so that we can bring up some more dirt terrain before sorting out the cliff face to complete this small segment up. Which looks great flying in from here. And before we continue on the terrain itself, I've got to grab some of these blocks so that I can continue working on my goal to make this base, or well, most of this base walkable, which does mean we need to bring a path up this side of the mountain, starting from the underpass at the bottom, snaking its way up past my nether portal. Getting a little tricky here, as well. I've got the pathway running up underneath the mega base now, but I think we're gonna have to bring in a cliff face here along this edge, as we are already at the height of the pathway over here, which I'm trying to connect it up to. So I think that's exactly what we'll do, connect a cliff face between the grass layer right next to the mega base down to the path to create a sort of ravine shape once we bring in the mountain peaks I want to create on the outside of the path. Connected that up over here as well, with the path coming through, and just taking a step back here. Even though it's not fully completed, it's looking so much better with not seeing the other side of the base and actually having some terrain right next to it. And we can now officially walk from over here all the way down to the redstone factory. And honestly, I have no idea how I'm going to connect it up down to that path and, well, that one. Maybe we gotta extend something down by the water over here and have that connect up over this way. We'll see how we figure that out. For now, I just gotta reorganize my inventory a little bit here, getting rid of some of these path blocks and just restocking on some of our mountain building resources. To start off these 2 final peaks, I'm over by the south train entrance and continuing to work the terrain up here, finishing it off and starting the first few layers of the mountain. Then back around to what I'm going to call the front for the section, building up an overhanging section going over the path, really leaning into our darker blocks. Which is a great start to this next segment, but before we carry on building up the mountain, I need to just quickly drop off the mountain building blocks, where we've cleaned out another 4 shulker boxes. But I want to fill my inventory with a bunch of dirt, as before we continue extending the train up further, I need to probably just figure out the dirt, as, well, the train goes down to the water rather quickly, and I plan to bring that train track over to here, so we're gonna need to raise it a lot. So spending the next hour or so extending in dirt across the base of the mountain, focusing on connecting up the cobblestone factory tracks and path, raising the terrain level up a couple of blocks from what it used to be. And after refilling 3 more shulker boxes of dirt, going through the time-consuming task of creating the sloping terrain from the train tracks all the way up to the base of the mountain. Which does mean we have to figure out how to make this connection here and mob farm. But let's not worry about that. Instead, we need to continue working on the mountain, of course. And I want to get the base of it situated a bit more, patching up the holes left in the dirt terrain as I figure out what I want to do with this mountain. Where I've rethought it a little bit, and instead of having 2 peaks, we're just gonna do a 3rd one out here on the far end as well, which we can super quickly build up as it's not too tall, then a slightly wider, slightly taller peak right next to the train tracks to create our second of 3 peaks. which is looking good, but there's definitely something missing here, right in the middle. So let's start working on the final peak to once and for all finish the main shape of this mountain range that encases my mega base. It's been an insane project and I've learned a ton about terraforming while doing it. Even though it looks a little barren still, it looks so good having the final peak in here. And oh, it's so exciting finally not seeing just my floating base anymore. Oh, it's amazing. I'm so happy. Now just fix all of this up because yeah, but okay, serotonin boost first. Where is it? Oh, okay. Finish the mountain range, and I just need to hold up. Just need to. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Before we get to that, though, apparently Eggs have gotten himself stuck in one of my escape rooms. Well, one of my viewer escape rooms, and my portal is over here. Right. Just gotta open that up. I'm glad someone's playing at least. Eggs.
Help.
Hold up, I'm coming. Which one are you stuck in?
The one without the train.
Oh, okay. Coming in. Why are you stuck? Could you figure it out?
I want you to look at something. I got the key card.
Well, you found that.
Good.
Oh, well, okay. I have the key card now.
Yeah.
Here, take that back.
Look.
Oh, or not. Oh, there's supposed to be very much completable parkour here.
Yeah, that's not the case.
Yeah, that looks a little broken.
To that point, and then couldn't go further. This is going to cost you in the review, though.
What do you mean review?
I'm reviewing all
How
the
long
games
have you
on
been
the
stuck
server,
in here?
Since 2 days ago.
See, it's fixed now. Your key card's at the top.
Watch me fall.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Nope.
Maybe I should just pick this up, just in case, you know?
Oh yeah, this is gonna take me a couple of minutes.
Oh, glad these weren't moving then for you.
Dude, I got stuck for 50 minutes in Chosen's house.
I heard. Right, that's
Yeah.
still working.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to check anything else before.
No, everything else should be working. There's nothing else like these ones. I'm assuming it's just when the chunks have been loaded and unloaded. So they should have been off then. Okay, I noted for next season.
Okay, I'll keep going. I'll be sure to leave a review at the entrance.
All right, well, I've got a mountain to build, and Egg seems to be struggling a little bit, but at least, you know, he's probably having fun, hopefully, and hopefully I get a good review. Right, well, back from that distraction, I've got to see, do I still have... We're going to need a bit more andesite, but I think we might be good. Actually, we might even make it on this. Yeah, for the safe side, let's just grab another stack. Which, with that in our inventory, getting to work over by the train exit to work towards the cobblestone factory, extending up some cliffs from the water. Terrain is coming along nicely here. Missing a bit of mud just along the bottom that we're getting in a second, but I'm really struggling just connecting up here with me still having to bring in the train tracks. So I think I just want to get that out of the way real quick. Just gotta swap out some blocks. Where I'm of course going with the classic deep stay foundation with some tough and pale moss right beside it before moving into some coarse dirt, mostly cobblestone and podzol to cement and transition the train tracks into the terrain around it. Alright, got the layout of the tracks in. I had to add in a retaining wall and, well, 2 retaining walls. Before we get the tracks themselves in, let's just finish up this terrain here. So just continuing with the same method of building up cliffs from the water level and adding in a few grass layers around it to put it all together. Trying to not make too steep grass segments, but also not making all just a cliff wall. This point here over on the far corner sticks up a little too much, so brought in the beacon just to clear away a few blocks to finish up the cliffs and grass. That's looking a whole lot better with that little section cleared, and I think the final thing we need to do, except bring in the train tracks, is head up to the mud factory and grab a few stacks of mud. And yep, that really just completes it up. Now I just need to get my hands on a few train tracks, which I hope this is going to be enough. We just gotta start running this out and just following the deep state I've already laid out for us. Oh. We got a train. Oh, it's working again. Wait, does that mean that it's got packages as well? Well, it must have added packages in here. It must have, right? Oh, well, now I want to know. How do we... Oh, right. We're automating sand and gravel now. Just got to add 2 more of those. I got to hook the brick back up as well. We're going to do sand and gravel. And just copying over that to both of those, which should send them off. And then we need to hook this back up as well. Oh, and while we're down here, yes, the packages are coming in. They're being loaded up. And oh, that looks great. I'm so glad I did the belt on the outside, not just the frog ports. All right, we should see. Yes, the train is arriving over the new tracks. Oh, I'm so glad I made the train tracks around this way. Really gave a more purpose to finishing this side. And we're getting a ton of packages coming in, which is great since we have the triple post boxes now. I really wish you could just make them wait a little bit and pick up more. where all I've got to do now is just wait for the grass to grow in. But with the cobblestone factory complex finally completed up, that's a huge project crossed off the list to finally finish up this mega base. Not to mention the fact that we also finished off the mountain range. Still got a bunch of details to add to it, but at least the main shape is in there, and I am so happy to see it in. I also just love the fact that I can look up at my mega base now and not see it floating. It's great. But that is all of the time I have for today. So as always, thank you to all of my supporters, and thank you to you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.